Did you really think my highly trained olfactory sense wouldn't pick up on the faint whiff of neroli and bergamot in your favorite hand lotion?
The Netflix adaptation of Wednesday definitely favors the supernatural mystery side of things as opposed to the comedic nature of the older Addams Family films. In this video, we will reveal everything you most likely missed while watching the first season of Wednesday. From references to hidden clues that even Wednesday herself missed, you were in for quite a ride. Let's get started.
Not used to people engaging with me. Mostly me coming in across the street.
You're not scary, you're just kinda...
The Muddy Boots.
Here's a little welcome gift from my conservatory. I try to match the right flower to each of my girls.
Of course, we had to start with this one. Throughout the season, you had to follow Wednesday on the whodunit plot. Well, you wouldn't have done that if you paid attention to the Muddy Boots. In the scene where the botanics teacher and resident dorm mum, Miss Thornhill, comes in to introduce herself to Wednesday, viewers instantly pegged her for a non-threatening and normie character. However, she apologizes for her red boots because they were muddy, and she had created a mess in the room. Now, this is when we should have been suspicious, because in a scene shortly before this one, we saw the sheriff and his deputy in the woods where the hiker had just been murdered. In that scene, it was raining, so there must have been some mud on the ground, right? Even though she claimed to have been in her conservatory, she could have easily been out in the muddy woods. It is only when Eugene finally reveals that the Hyde Master owns a pair of red boots that Miss Thornhill is unmasked. Funny, you wouldn't just make the connection, but it was there all along. Miss Thornhill was introduced as quirky and kind, not to mention the actress being a former Wednesday herself, so we guess we were all a little biased.
My mother said it was my destiny to stop this girl if she ever came to Nevermore because she will destroy the school.
The botanical clues.
It seems they've been lying to me. Keeping secrets. Murderous secrets that need to be addressed.
There were other clues that should have solidified Miss Thornhill as the villain in our eyes. Like the boots, her connection with dangerous plants was shown in the first episode. There is a brief moment where she smiles after feeding a live worm to a Venus flytrap. Even in the classroom, she speaks very enthusiastically about carnivorous plants and all the bad things they could be used for. So when Wednesday comes up with the theory that the Hyde Master had deceived Tyler by revealing his powers to him and using extracts from plants to unlock the monster in him, we should have known. Another clue is the fact that before Morticia stabs Garrett Stone, he has already been poisoned by the nightshade in his pocket. Whoever Garrett's surviving and most likely vengeful sister was, it definitely wasn't the therapist like Wednesday wanted us to believe. It had always been the teacher with a keen interest and vast knowledge of plants.
How canst thy heart still beat? What demon sorcery is this? Stay away from her!
The body parts.
Let's go.
One of the many gifts that Miss Thornhill gives Wednesday is a copy of the classic book Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. In the scene where Wednesday goes to the abandoned gatehouse with Tyler and Enid, she discovers the missing body parts of all of Hyde's victims, preserved and stored in jars. Eventually, we discover that the different body parts were collected in order to carry out a ritual to resurrect Joseph Crackstone, Miss Thornhill's ancestor, who happens to be the only one zealous enough to exact her revenge. Now, if you had paid attention into the Frankenstein novel, you would have caught wind of Miss Thornhill's intentions. For those who haven't read it, you should know that this novel is the reaction why electricity is always a part of the experiment that brings Victor Frankenstein's creature to life. For this reason, giving Wednesday this novel foreshadows the ritual she does in the end, like what Mary Shelley wrote. Miss Thornhill eventually brings Crackstone to life with a spell conducting electricity between the body parts.
It's perfect if you're fleeing a war-torn country on foot.
Come on, don't you like a day that's all about you?
Where history comes to life.
Is this why he tried to kill you?
His mother drew it before she died. Said I was destined to destroy the school.
In the scene where the banners are unveiled, we see that the founding father of Jericho is none other than Joseph Crackstone. But that is not all we should have picked up on. If you look closely at the banners, you will see the words "Where history comes to life" written just above Crackstone's picture. You see it now, right? Those words foreshadow his resurrection and hint that whoever is controlling the Hyde is connected to him in some way. In that same episode, Wednesday finds a way to break into the old meeting house even though it was out of bounds. Once inside, we see a life-size model of the dead yet highly regarded evil pilgrim. She is clearly not impressed, so she says, "Secrets are like zombies. They never truly die." This is another way that foreshadows not just Crackstone's resurrection, but also how he will return as a soulless and hard-to-kill living dead creature. There's one more. Remember the scene where Thing starts the fire and it all leads to the epic shot of Crackstone's statue on fire? Well, even though you did not realize it at the time, the scene was definitely foreshadowing Crackstone's death. You know, how he eventually burns up into a cloud of smoke and fiery hot ash?
Wait, he's our Uber driver?
Uber driver? I thought we were going on a date.
I thought this was a girls' night out.
The BEEHIVE code.
The key is to remain calm. Bees detect fear, but
You don't need to worry.
A characteristic of Wednesday is that she loves to do things independently, but in the end we can all see that taking on Hyde, Miss Thornhill, and Crackstone would be a bit too much for her to handle. She had help from her friends, and this team effort was foreshadowed early on when she met Eugene for the first time. In this scene, Eugene tells her that he loves bees so much because they are nature's perfect community. He explained how bees always come together to achieve a common goal. So we probably should have known that this group of friends would come together in the end to save Nevermore Academy and its students. We see how Enid wolfs out for the first time and then steps in to save Wednesday, just as Tyler has transformed into the Hyde and is about to kill Wednesday. Later on, as Wednesday fights Crackstone, he uses his magical staff to smash her sword. But just as he is about to finish off a helpless Wednesday, Bianca stabs him from behind. Without this distraction, Wednesday wouldn't have had time to pick up a shard of the broken sword that she then uses to stab Crackstone in the heart. Next, Eugene joins the fight as he unleashes his bees on Miss Thornhill, just as she is about to shoot Wednesday. Right on time, Eugene.
The only person who gets to torture my brother is me.
The Hyde.
Your father gave you explicit instructions not to be near me.
My dad's not here and I want to break.
Another clue hidden in plain sight is the name of our vicious monster. The moment Wednesday discovers that the monster on the loose is known as the Hyde, we should have known that it would turn out to be Tyler. It was literally all in the name. The Hyde references Robert Louis Stevenson's book, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Seeing how Jekyll, who is seemingly harmless, develops a murderous alter ego after an experiment goes wrong, we definitely should have known. There have been several movies that are based on this book, but they are all the same. And similarly, Tyler, the most passive, mild-mannered, and kindest by all appearances, was the perfect character to be the Hyde. That's about it for the hidden clues that foreshadowed the ending of Wednesday. So let's move on to some references to other creative works that you might not have caught.
That the bitter taste of defeat burns in her throat.
Yeah, but mostly you're doing it because we're friends, right?
The Kooky theme song.
Unrecognizable. Ridiculous. A classic example of female objectification for the male gaze.
In the scene where Tyler meets Wednesday at the carnival-themed event, he tells Wednesday that he doesn't think she is scary. He only finds her to be a little kooky. In response, Wednesday says, "I prefer spooky." Well, if this exchange did not mean anything to you, then you definitely did not catch that this is a reference to the popular theme song of an older adaptation of the Addams Family. This theme song was composed way back in 1964 by renowned Hollywood composer Vic Mizzy, and it goes a little like this. They're creepy and kooky, mysterious and kooky. They're all together ooky, the Addams Family.
You must be the psychopath they let in.
And you must be the self-appointed queen bee. Interesting thing about bees.
URIAH'S HEAP.
You seriously want to split up? In here? That is literally how every best friend dies in a horror movie.
Remember the musty and old antique shop where Enid and Ajax had to be in for Outreach Day? As you would see, the shop is called URIAH'S HEAP. This name is a nod to the late 60s English rock band with the same name. At some point in the scene, you can see a rocking mouse on one of the shelves, and this is a subtle reference to Charles Dickens, whose pet raven named Grip inspired Edgar Allan Poe. We know this is getting a little crazy, but stick with us. Nevermore Academy claims that Edgar Allan Poe is one of its most famous alumni and even inspired the Poe's cup race that we see in this film. Well, one of the most famous works in the poem titled The Raven, and this raven repeatedly screeches nevermore. A remnant of the time there, perhaps. Now back to Dickens. It is believed that the poem's inspiration was Grip, Dickens' beloved raven. Charles Dickens was a huge fan of taxidermy and built a collection of them in his lifetime, even one of Grip. He had a few pieces which he stored in glass cases on shelves and are now on display like priceless artifacts. So when we saw those mini stuffed animals in URIAH'S HEAP, we had to catch the reference.
I will send you back to hell.
So let us know in the comment section what other references and hidden details you picked up on. Do like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you do not miss any upcoming videos.
And when I read your personal statement in your application, I immediately thought of this one.
A Black Dahlia.
Oh, you know it.